we just had the Fart in the Jar girl on, who is a unbelievable CEO and connoisseur. Dr. Charlotte Laws, you guys, a first-time guest. All right, check this out. This is what makes me hate myself, and to a lesser extent, you. Author, columnist, public speaker, former star of NBC's The Filter, political pundit, and a public one on BBC, former politician, lecturer at FBI Academy in Quantico, former private eye, former cab driver. Female cab drivers are like unicorns. They are very rare. Actress, fashion designer. Doesn't look like she's good at the Zoom, though. Charlotte, Charlotte, we can't see you. Can you hear us? Oh, boy.
Hello.
I blame, you know what? This very well could be the fault of the mangina. Hopefully we'll get her back. I'll finish with her intro because it's a long one. Backup singer for an Elvis impersonator, bodyguard, realtor, stand-up comic, doctorate plus 2 master degrees and a pair of BAs from USC. Plus she completed postgraduate study at Oxford. Books include Meet the Stars, Rebel in High Heels, Armed for Ideological Warfare. Again, Joe, these are all real books. Devil in the Basement and Undercover Debutante.
And she is promoting, I believe, 2 of those books currently.
Yes. We've got all of her goodness on screen. I honestly feel, I blame myself, and to a lesser extent, I blame our president. I hope she didn't hear about my present and then quickly hang up. This could be all my fault.
No, we haven't. She hasn't popped on yet. I thought she was ready.
Oh, okay.
No, it had nothing to do with anything you said.
That you know of.
Yeah, just you wait. Just you wait.
Another fascinating thing.
I have a bio here.
Let me tell you, these bios, again, with publicists, I mean, we learned so much more than other publicists. Some publicists send us nothing.
Yes.
This was very detailed. Something that stood out that fascinated me, never had alcohol, cigarettes, or illegal drugs.
That's why all this stuff.
That's why she accomplished
Yes, I swear to God, I'm not even kidding. That stuck out with me because I'm like, how does one have the time? And I'm so jealous. I wish that I did not hate myself and the world so much that I need so many chemicals. And as a result, I have accomplished so little.
But you know what? Something that you do have in common. She is a notorious party crasher.
I love it.
But you crash parties inebriated. So maybe that's why you get caught and get thrown out. But she, on the other hand, it has really helped her in business and connections.
What a smarty. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll get her back on. You know what? This is I like to call this the Mike Baker effect. So, you got your Mike Baker, right? Former CIA operative, all expert in international and national security. Motherfucker doesn't know how to do the Zoom or Skype to save his life. And it's almost concerning, you know?
Well, he knows.
Hi.
Hello.
We have her. There she is.
Golly, I have no idea why it's not. It still says it's connecting. So I don't really understand.
Well, we see you, and we were just saying some of our smartest guests, including former CIA operative Mike Baker, have the hardest time with the Skype and the Zoom. So if anything, you are in good company.
Mm-hmm.
How are you, Dr. Laws? Thank you so much for joining us.
Sure, thanks for having me.
We just got through your amazing introduction. We've both decided that half the reason that you're so accomplished, one being the big brains, which I'll never be able to have, but the other thing is also just the no drinking and drugs, I think. I feel as if Joe and I would have been able to do at least a little more.
Yeah, I mean, half of what my brain space is, should I have red wine tonight?
That's
or
true.
should I take a night off? So really, you just have all that much more space to decide what productive things you're going to do.
Yeah, it is. Well, and also Joe was fascinated by, we did the whole intro, but she loved, and apparently this has actually helped you as far as context, stuff like that, if you want to explain the
you are a notorious party crasher. You crash lots of high profile events, celebrity parties. That would give me such agita. I really like to follow the rules. I don't like to, make others potentially uncomfortable, bouncers, whatever. So tell me a little bit about that and how party crashing has kind of helped your career.
Yeah, I mean, I started when I was very young, and it was for fun when I was 17, 18, 19. It was also kind of like getting a family because my adoptive family, where I was raised in Atlanta, Georgia, it was not a very positive experience. And entertainment people are kind of like one big family. So I started meeting people, but as I got older, I realized it could come in handy with pushing for legislation, with getting people signed on to charities, with getting business partners. And, I mean, you think about, legislation, for example, how the wealthy people, they go to $100,000 fundraiser for a politician and they get that access and they get that person's ear, but the ordinary person doesn't have that access. And so I realized with party crashing, I can get in there. I can talk to the president. I can talk to a senator. I can actually discuss the issues that I think are important. And it gives me that opportunity.
And they think you've paid for that $10,000 plate.
That is so.
That's why they listen to you. Exactly.
Yes.
And you know what? You used your skills of crashing places for good, whereas I did it for sloth. Really, the only things I usually crash are hotel pools. Because it's actually really easy. And I could have, actually influenced a senator. But instead, I'm just sitting there in the hot tub. And by the way, I hate to say it, always by myself.
Yeah.
It's not even a cool date, It's just me, myself, and I.
Yeah, you don't actually go to talk to people.
Oh goodness, no. Hot tub is for soaking, not for networking. I hate myself. But that's absolutely, and what a rush too. See, I feel like you've got a story, and now that you've beat Jesus age-wise, I think in this new part of your life you should start, just doing things like that.
Well, I might start actively writing more books. I don't know
she's never written a book.
But I am a New York Times best-selling
No,
author.
that is not true.
I have the graphics to prove it.
That's all she has. Our graphic artist makes fake books for her, some of which are behind her right now.
You might
None
have
of them.
heard of Let the Market Decide, my catchphrase that I then turned into a best-selling book.
Mr. Laws, this is not a thing.
Followed up by the book Capitalism ?
This is wide-scale fraud. Is what this is. None of these are real.
But you know what? I actually still think you have written more books than me.
Oh, God.
I think 2 of which you're currently promoting. Can you tell us a little bit about them?
I have 2 memoirs. And,
Memoirs.
One is called Rebel in High Heels, and the other is called Undercover Debutante. And they not only tell about the fight against revenge porn, but tell about my life, which has really been kind of a roller coaster. And I've had some amazing experiences. It's been amazing. So I that's what I'm talking about are those 2 books right now.
What an interesting topic, and I think you inspired me because last night and now, that's my favorite Joe book.
Oh boy.
A lot of these are graphic artists will just take what she says on a show and turn it into a book.
Yeah.
And I think at some point she said she'd be toothless.
This one is really just a picture book of all of my baby teeth.
But I did not get all the way through it. I hate to say it. I think it was less. I don't like this book. My name's Bill Schultz, and I think they had some fun with that title. But I watched the most hated person on the internet last night.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and there is a lot of revenge porn in that. You know which one I'm talking about? I believe it's on Netflix. Uh-oh, did we lose her? Oh, can you hear me?
I'm here.
Oh, yeah. So,
are you affiliated with that show?
the most hated person on the internet? I think that's what it's called, is it not?
Yeah, the most hated man.
The most hated man on the internet.
Am I gone?
Yes, you are. Can you not hear us? Oh, boy.
I hear you, but I guess I'm gone.
No, we can hear
We
you.
see you and hear you.
We can see and hear you.
Oh, you can see me? Okay, great. I wasn't sure if I disappeared.
You were there in all your glory. Oh, sorry.
So I thought the filmmakers did an excellent job on it, and I think I'm hoping that it inspires Congress to pass a federal law, and I hope that we'll educate people about the issues. So
I did not go to bed happy. The guy is a fucking sociopath.
Being your background in politics, what is preventing Congress from passing a federal law? Like, what is it going to take?
Well, it's one of the main obstacles is the ACLU, and they were fighting me all the way back when I was trying to get a law passed in California, which was the first actual full-fledged anti-revenge porn law. And they just, they believe that nude pictures of ordinary people is speech, and therefore it should be allowed. And I argue that it's not. I argue that The First Amendment is about the marketplace of ideas, about public issues. It's not about nude pictures of ordinary people, which can ruin lives, which can lead to suicide, which can lead to you being fired. And the other obstacle, I have been told, are certain members of the progressive side of the Democratic Party who are of the defund the police mindset, and they just don't want additional laws that put people behind bars because they're hoping to get people out of jail and not into jail. So those are two of the main obstacles with Congress currently.
Oh my God. Well, and also a lot of it though has less to do with free speech. I don't know what really these nudes have to do with it, but so many of the times these photos are hacked. So what you're really talking about here is theft.
Yeah.
You're breaking into a device, stealing something personal, and then making money off of it. I don't know what part of theft that isn't.
No, I agree. I mean, that's the only reason we were able to get Hunter Moore and put him in jail is because he had been hacking photos. At the time, there were no laws against revenge porn. So the only other law that he was violating was the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, because when you take a picture of yourself, for example, you own the copyright. But that's very rarely a criminal case. It's normally civil, and he was not afraid of civil suits because he had no assets. He was living at home with his parents, and he didn't care if people sued him for money because, he didn't have any. So, he didn't even show up for court. So it was the criminal stuff that these perps and these trolls and these people who abuse others with nude pictures, they're very afraid of law enforcement. That's something I've learned. They do not want to go to jail. And that's why the laws are so important.
Interesting. Yeah, it's very much the Pat Dixon effect. Go ahead and sue me.
Yeah.
I got nothing. Inside joke for a guy who attacked a co-host of ours. But listen, I also was reminded of this thing, and again, I didn't even make it all the way through because it is rough stuff. But one of the main people in it is obviously a mom who really just becomes, her own investigative reporter, her own detective, and really kind of fighting for her daughter, which is sort of how you got into all this, correct?
It's
yeah. I mean, it's me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but that's it's like that's the same thing, right? Though, right?
I look different, perhaps, in that
Mm-hmm.
the documentary. But yeah, that was my daughter. And she had never sent her picture to anyone, and she was hacked. And so I used to be a private eye, and I realized I was going to have to do this by myself because no one knew anything about revenge porn back then. I talked to 9 attorneys up front. They all just threw up their hands and said, "Don't ask me what you should do." And so I just kind of had to investigate the website, investigate the owner, and find ways to get the content removed. And in the process, I started reaching out to other victims on the site, which was really hard because I was afraid there could be a hacker on their technology, like on their social or their email. So everything had to be by phone. And a lot of times I would have to look for someone in the town they lived in with the same last name and call somebody and say, "Hi, do you know so-and-so? Could you have her call me?" So it was very roundabout and very difficult. But after I talked to 40 victims, I found out that 40% of them had been hacked. And so I realized there was a hacking scheme, and I was able to get the FBI involved and give them my 12-inch file of data along with all the information on other people who had been hacked all over the country. And luckily, they decided to take the case. At first, they said they might not take it, but luckily, they eventually did.
It is crazy to me, the amount of work that, victims have to do in order to get justice, whether it's this or other things, collecting evidence, creating files, like you said. I once had to do something for police, and I did essentially a footnoted page of where you could find this and where you can find this, and here's a picture of this, and it sucks because you feel like it shouldn't be that way, and yet it constantly is, especially when it's family members, and I guess it's the passion behind it. I watch a lot of those cold case file shows. I'm obsessed, but it's always the families who won't give up on something, and then ultimately it's the pressure from them and the work they've done that leads to results. So I'm sure in some way it's satisfying, but it's still not because of all you had to go through.
Yeah, and law enforcement is very, they're much more used to brick and mortar crime, and they're not that, normally they're not that interested in cyber crime. And it has changed. It's gotten better in the last decade, but it's still very difficult for them to want to get involved in cybercrime. And also, cybercrime is hard to investigate because people are anonymous. They hide their identities. They might even be in another country where there is no law, where you can't do anything to capture the person. So it's a much more complicated process, and it's something they haven't been trained on. And so that's part of the obstacle for victims as well.
Is the next stage, everyone talks about, well, you got to be careful with the passwords and everything like that with regards to China or Russia as far as financial and information and things like that. But is the next stage in all of this going to be international blackmailing and things like that for all the crap that's on everyone's phones? I mean, forget about finances. I would assume that there is just like a smorgasbord of stuff that any person in Russia who looked at anyone in America as some type of an asset could immediately find on their phone and use against
medical records. Like there's so much.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's getting worse and worse. And I think it is a dangerous world out there on the internet. And you have to be careful with your data. And it's hard to be careful because, you trust a financial institution and then somebody hacks into them and they get all of your information. I personally don't put anything on my phone. If someone hacks my phone, they're going to find nothing. I mean, they're going to be very disappointed. Mm-hmm. But it is true. I do use my computer to go on and get financial records and to do things. And, you can get hacked just as easily on your computer as your phone.
It's impossible not to.
Well, you did mention briefly the idea of freedom of speech, and I have one topical story that kind of goes off of that. Recently, there was a professor who caused an uproar on Twitter by wishing the Queen excruciating pain. Now, she is defending her position, saying, "There's not going to be any apology from me. I stand by what I said." I'm going to butcher this name, and I'm sorry. Uju Anya. She's a professor at Carnegie Mellon University. When she heard news about the Queen's ailing health last week, she went on there to say, "I heard the chief monarch of a thieving, raping, genocidal empire is finally dying. May her pain be excruciating."
Interesting photo. So looks like the Queen is in a subway.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yes.
Many criticized Anya for lacking empathy toward the Queen and the royal family, including, and this is why the tweet got so much exposure, Jeff Bezos, Amazon's CEO, quoted the tweet saying, "This is someone supposedly working to make the world better? I don't think so. Wow." Then Carnegie Mellon tweeted a statement calling Anya's statement offensive and objectionable. Twitter removed the tweet, saying it violated the platform's rules. But again, Anya continues to defend her beliefs. What's interesting, though, is people found some reasons why Jeff Bezos might have been involved. Turns out...
Oh, I like this.
Anya had a picture or did a post with Chris Smalls, who's one of the core organizers and founders of the Amazon Labor Union. And he wrote, "I've been wondering why Professor Anya was selected by Jeff Bezos. This is why." Another pointed out that Carnegie Mellon, the university she works at, previously accepted a $2 million donation from Amazon. So again, she says, "If anyone expects me to express anything but disdain for the monarch who supervised a government that sponsored the genocide that massacred and displaced half my family, and the consequences of which those alive today are still trying to overcome, you can keep wishing upon a star."
Interesting.
Very interesting. There's a lot of layers to this now.
Like a layer cake?
I love a layer cake.
So good.
So good. So Charlotte, what's your take on all of this?
Well, I mean, the thing that upsets me is the fact that Twitter removed the tweet.
Yeah, man.
I think that, what she said was obviously rude. It was obviously perhaps not socially acceptable to say that kind of thing to a woman who's on her deathbed. But the fact that the tech companies are literally censoring based on political or ideological, reasons, I mean, to me, is really a problem. And, I don't understand why. It seems like both sides. Originally, Trump was the first one who said there should be censorship. And I tweeted to him, wrong, you're going the wrong way. And now the Democrats have really picked up this whole censorship thing, and now there are many Republicans saying no to that. But censorship is a real problem. I mean, this is supposed to be our town square. And I see that these, social media companies like Twitter and Facebook, They are the town square. They're more like utility companies. They're more like the phone company. The phone company doesn't come in and listen to your conversation and say, oh, I don't like what you're saying, so I'm going to cut off your line. No, I think that these companies should be only removing something like revenge porn, like child pornography, like incitement. I mean, it should be very, very little that gets removed.
Absolutely.
And they should allow a flow of conversation.
I will say this, I find it unbelievably refreshing. Even though I've always loved the Queen, you know I like the Queen documentaries, I love the fact that she didn't apologize. So, finally, someone doesn't apologize. And it gives that, but before you were on, we did the publicist written apology from The Bachelor, who was in blackface, apparently. And it was, of course, obviously written by someone he has hired. But to get someone that's like, nah, not apologizing, so rare. Another unicorn. Love it.
But also, like, this isn't just a professor who's saying this is the history of her reign. This is what she's culpable of doing. No, this is someone who's like, my ancestors, like my family were negatively affected, and I'm not going to apologize. Like, she does have a personal stake kind of in that. And she wasn't threatening the Queen. You know, it's like saying,
too little too late on that.
I hope you don't win an Oscar. You know, I hope you get fired. I hope you have excruciating pain. I mean, I don't know. I like to defend.
These are all tweets you've sent to Jennifer Lawrence, isn't it?
Truly.
Yes,
yeah, it's the removal. And then just like the idea of Jeff Bezos quote tweeting this. What other professors from Carnegie Mellon does he follow? Like, it's just very suspect to me. Or as the kids say, sus.
Ooh, I always forget that you're a millennial.
Thank you.
Dr. Laz, you know what this goes back to an old theory of mine. If you make rockets that look like a penis and you yourself look like a big penis, and Jeff Bezos is both of those things, don't trust him. Do not trust him. And I love that this is blown up in his face, in his penis-looking face.
Well, you know, the lack of transparency there, I think, is what people are noticing.
That's hilarious.
Also, if you look at, you know, the term misinformation, I mean, first of all, the CDC, the WHO, like when it came with COVID, you know, people were putting out true information back in January, February of 2020, but they weren't in a line, you know, they weren't lined up with what the WHO and CDC said, so it was called misinformation, and yet later it was proved true. So you have to allow all of these different voices. And also when a social media company or a tech company removes data that they say is misinformation, it's really a lie, because there's lots of misinformation that doesn't get touched. For example, science doesn't comport with humans have free will. There's no scientific evidence that says humans have free will. So that's probably false. Or Jesus spoke to me yesterday. These things don't get removed. It's only things that are ideological or political, and those are the kinds of things the tech company removes.
That is fascinating. I want to steal that example from you. That's great. Well, and getting back to revenge porn, because it's just been such a big thing in the headlines lately, it's not just a question of theft versus free speech, but in so many cases it's a question of blackmail. And I got this one for you because I'll tell you what, I almost feel like Hugh Hefner, R.I.P. I guess, is like a low-grade Jeffrey Epstein, because so far we have not really seen the sheer glut of videos that man had in his island so as to blackmail all the people that were going there with all these underage girls. Well, you know what? I think that very much the same thing was going on in the Playboy Mansion for decades, and we've gotten a little taste of it. There was video in this article, but I think it was just background shit. I don't know if you guys see it or not, but former Playboy buddies Holly Madison and Bridget Marquardt, ooh, she sounds so international, have revealed jaw-dropping insights about Hugh Hefner and the life in the Playboy Mansion in their new podcast, Girls Next Level. They said that he had a black book and that he reportedly used it to keep tabs on his live-in bleach-haired roommates. You can tell the Post wrote this. The black book kept track of a few different things, Marquardt said. It kept track of when somebody collected their allowance. It would mark off if you couldn't ask for it twice. It also kept track of who slept with him and when. I love that he forgets. The women, as well as Kendra Wilkinson, 37, were Hefner's main girlfriends in Girl Next Door on E!
I watched that show.
Did you?
All the time. Oh, yeah.
Huh. Well, you do watch trash. He'll be like, oh, this is unbelievable. He'll be like, oh, you've been on your period for 3 weeks. And then they'll remember hearing from other girls, as well as Hefner, keeping track of whether or not they were showing up to mansion parties or events. He took pictures of them, and they claim would pseudo threaten to release them if they did not do his bidding. I love this part. If we were very emotional about something or asking for something, he would start fake crying, and he was such a bad actor that it was painful and obvious. But the main thing here that I got this was that Madison said, quote, I feel like there was a mountain of revenge porn that everybody is going to see at some point, so I might as well just hide here rather than leave the mansion. So instead of it, basically he's dangling this over them so that they don't leave the compound. And who knows what else he's got on every fucking celebrity, mostly guys, out there. I mean, now he's dead, I don't know, but he can't be the only one that's been doing stuff like this.
Yeah, I mean, sextortion is a really big, problem now. I mean, it's a big, in the criminal world. I mean, people will get in touch with people over the internet and say, send me a picture of yourself. And once they get one picture, they say, I'm going to distribute it if you don't send me money, or you don't send me more pictures, or I'm going to send it to your parents. And so there's like a blackmail thing that goes on, and it's really hard to crack down on. So that's another thing that goes on with the murky world.
I think too, because these women are Playboy bunnies, and to a certain extent do show off their bodies, or maybe have lifestyles that others don't necessarily agree with, it's easier to kind of gloss over this and be like, well, what do you expect?
Right.
Or like, would it really be that big a deal to you? But like, it always is. If it's not your choice, like, it's not okay. And so I think that this should be taken just as seriously as if it were, like a school teacher. Like, it doesn't necessarily matter your background. It's still, like you said, extortion or revenge.
Right. And nude pictures, you should always have consent. But I do want to mention one thing. Hugh Hefner's monkey bit me.
What?
So, on the finger.
Your life. What? Okay, start from the beginning.
Wow.
Well, I went to one party there, which I didn't actually have to crash. I kind of went with a girlfriend one time. But the very first time I wanted to go in, and I went trick-or-treating there with my girlfriend. And we basically sweet-talked the guard into letting us come back the next day and giving us a tour of the property. And he had this zoo, and I got too close to his monkey, and his monkey bit me on the finger. And then my girlfriend was laughing, and she whipped her hair around, and the monkey pulled like half her hair out. So that was my my Hugh Hefner story.
Unbelievable. You are a better person than me, because I would have sued.
Gosh, did you have to get rabies shots or anything?
No.
Probably should have. Well, by the way,
that wasn't a big deal.
we're burying the lead. What was the Halloween costume that got you access?
What's trick-or-treating like at the Playboy Mansion?
It was probably something cute, but I don't remember. I usually try to look cute on Halloween, but I don't remember what I wore.
Wild holiday. Guys look like idiots and girls look cute. Unbelievable. And by the way, that monkey was probably in a really tiny cage and hadn't been fed in a while. I was always told that a lot of the rooms in the Playboy Mansion smell like urine. From all the pets and who knows what else goes on there. That there was...
I heard there were cameras in the rooms, and so I was very paranoid when I was there. When I was invited, and I actually went to a dinner there, and then we watched a John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John movie. So it was just very above board. There was no sex. There was nothing weird going on. And that was the evening I was there. But then we were invited to come back on a different night. They have like 2 nights a week, or they used to. And I guess the other night was the wild night where there were orgies and who knows what was going on.
Wow.
So we declined to come back. So we were there on the above board night, but I was very paranoid about, like, are there cameras in the bathrooms? And because I definitely heard that he had cameras everywhere.
Wow.
The man is pathologically, or was, I should say, afraid of being alone. That was his big problem. Because he would have movie nights with 20 friends. He'd have tennis nights with 80 friends.
My nightmare.
5 wives. Yeah, I can't...
I'd rather be alone.
I'm pathologically, yeah, exactly. The fact that I still have to have a roommate now is just heartbreaking. Now in breaking news, usually if it's a news program, they'll tell you something about some sort of statement the president made. In our case, our own Bobby, our producer, gave me a note that said, ask about Butthole Girl. And I had forgotten because I watched the thing last night and I had only gotten about halfway through. Yes, I remember her in the. Did you watch it?
No.
Well, she got basically involved in a back and forth with the guy that was doing this revenge porn site, and he started asking her live on like a Zoom thing to stick various different things in her butt. Do we need an update on her? Why? I'm not. Again, I don't want to do spoil. Well, I don't care about spoilers, but I didn't see the ending. Are there updates on Butthole Girl?
Well, I mean, apparently she says he put her children on her page with her nude pictures, etc.
I remember that part.
She wanted him to take the pictures down, and he refused. But he said he would if she did this, putting a cell phone in her butt. And he recorded her putting the cell phone in her butt, and that's how she got the name Butthole Girl. And then he did take the kids' pictures down after that. And then I guess maybe other things were put in her butt. I really don't know. I've never met her, but yeah, she was definitely.
It's an unfortunate nickname to be tagged with because of this dude for the rest of your life.
I'm not a mother, but if I were, I don't know if I'd love my kids that much to do that.
I know you wouldn't. I know you wouldn't.
That's a good woman right there.
It's stuff like that show that makes me the opposite of Hugh Hefner. You watch that and you're like, fucking humanity is doomed.
It is.
We're getting worse.
I watch a lot of my cold case files and murder docs for preparation on how to keep myself safe. But it's stuff like this where you're like, you could be doing everything right and still be a victim to hacking and whatever else. Oh.
And also what they do too is it's called morph porn. So they'll take somebody's head and they'll put it on a porn star's body, and then it looks like it's you, and your clients think it's you, and your Facebook friends think it's you, and it can destroy your life, and it's not even your body. That kind of thing can happen, and you can be walking down the street and somebody just takes a picture of you and pops it on a porn star's body.
Mm-hmm.
And conversely, when a politician is actually in some sort of torrid sex tape thing that's real, we're going to get to a point where they'll just be able to say it's a deep fake and get away with it because they're getting so good. Now, Joanne always makes the point that no matter how good deep fakes get, the technology to tell people that it's a deep fake will progress as well. What do you think about that?
Comes the other.
Well, but it's behind, and it only costs like $20 to make a deep fake. I mean, there are companies that will do it.
Are you serious? No wonder we get so many.
So we don't. I mean, I think that we should have some kind of an algorithm at the very least that tells you what percentage chance that it's real. Like this is 80% chance this is real.
Why don't they have
10% is real. So at least the consumer can look at it and get an idea. Because this is a big deal when it comes to just politics. Sometimes people will change the words the politician says, and the public will think that's what the person said when they never said that. So it has implications beyond nude pictures.
I sort of hope that we get to a point where, so long as it's all people of consenting adult age, that we don't care about the salaciousness of it anymore,
We're getting there.
Because, it's so valuable to the hacker, to the person doing the deepfake, because they know the damage it can cause. Well, if our peers don't care or jobs don't, and everyone's just sort of like over it, then the damage isn't as great anymore.
I agree.
But again, it's hard.
Yeah, right now about 80% of employers do an online search before they decide they're going to hire you. So right now it actually makes a huge impact on whether you get hired for a particular position.
I am fucking doomed. Well, listen, aside from the fact that I am in a worse mood now, this has been fascinating. We'd love to have you back. Before we let you go, any other plugs? Anything you want to share before we let you go?
Just, go out and see the movie, the docuseries, The Most Hated Man on the Internet. And I think it's very educational as well as entertaining.
And it really makes you love people. But we certainly love you. Thank you so
Dr.
much.
Laws.
That was great.
Thanks for having me.
I do hate any and all human beings, including you.
Thanks.
But that was fascinating. Do you want to ruin the show?
Yeah, sure.